Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today on healthy aging with delicious and nutritious foods. My name is Trish Kazakis. I'm Corporate Nutrition Manager and one of the dietitians here at Wegmans, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. Please note that the information provided during today's webinar is for educational purposes only. It's not intended as a substitute or a replacement for medical advice, medical nutrition therapy, or individualized nutrition counseling. I'm going to be rejoining you at the end of the webinar to moderate our Q&A session. But right now, I'm really pleased to introduce to you today your presenter and my friend, Marta Human, one of our corporate Wegmans nutritionists. Take it away, Marta.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're always so happy when you guys are on the calls with us. I wanted to talk about healthy aging with nutritious and delicious foods. So what is healthy eating? It's really a great question because you've probably heard things like those headlines that are on the slide right here. And with headlines like these, it's really easy to feel overwhelmed and confused about what constitutes a healthy meal. How do we separate fact from fiction? And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to cut through all of this noise of these crazy headlines and just provide some clear guidance for you to eat healthy as we age. And we are all aging, no matter how old we are. We're getting older every day. So let's dive in here to our basic guidelines for healthy eating. If you've joined our webinars before, I'm sure that you've seen these. We talk about these a lot. You'll find this document on our website, and also we're going to throw a link to it in the chat. This guide shows our foundation of healthy eating. It's inspired by the Mediterranean diet, which is an approach that emphasizes plant foods. So it really focuses in on plants like fruits and vegetables. Those are the colorful stars of your plate. Whole grains, which give you nutrients and provide essential fiber. Beans and legumes, also offering fiber and plant protein. Nuts and seeds, again, fiber and giving you a little bit of protein and some essential nutrients. And we don't want to forget about liquid oils. They contain beneficial heart healthy fats. Now, if you eat animal program, that is okay. I eat animal protein. We don't mean this to be a vegetarian or vegan approach. If you are a vegetarian or vegan, great, but animal proteins can fit too. But think of animal protein as more of a complement to the plants on your plate instead of the main focus. And in a minute, I'm really going to be telling you about the nutrients of concern as we age. And these guidelines, I really want to point out, they include all the necessary foods that's going to provide you with those nutrients. So eating a balanced diet using these will be a great way to go. So some important things about our healthy eating guidelines, they do not need to be followed exactly. This is not a rigid, you must. This is their guidelines. They may need to be modified if you have a health condition, celiac disease, diabetes, you may need to modify a bit. They're not restrictive. Notice I did not have a column of food you cannot eat, and yet they can be made your own. There really is no one size fits all for healthy eating. It's important to find a pattern of eating and approach to eating that really meets your individual needs and one that you can sustain throughout your life. So let's take a look at how we can use these guidelines to balance our plates. We really like this method because it's very visual. You'll notice that half of the plate has got fruits and vegetables there, which you can fill with whichever ones you like. It's nice to get a variety of all the different colors. It helps keep it nice and getting nutrients from all the different colors. The grains, filling a quarter of your plate, we'd like it if half of your grains could be whole grains like brown rice, whole wheat pasta, quinoa, whole grain bread. And then protein at the bottom here. Of course, animal protein, fish, chicken, lean meat, but also plant proteins like tofu, beans, legumes are going to come in down here. And again, think of these, especially the animal ones, as just complementing. Think of all these other plants on your plate. And then we don't want to forget about dairy. We try to strive for 3 servings of dairy each day, and that would be low-fat milk, plain yogurt, cottage cheese, that sort of thing. I think it's worth noting here, too, that I'm going to say plate probably more than one time here, and it can be any vessel. It doesn't have to just be a plate. Just think of whatever you're eating and fill half of that with fruits and vegetables. We don't want to forget about liquid oils. Those are the heart healthy oils to round out your meals, and then staying hydrated. As we age, our sense of thirst diminishes a bit. So you might not be feeling as thirsty when you really need to drink more water. So keep that in mind and make a conscious effort to be staying hydrated. So now that we've talked about this pattern of eating, let's talk more specifically about changes that occur as we age. Well, the good news is that we really need the same nutrients as that we did when we were younger. We just maybe need some of the nutrients in slightly different amounts. And there is a good chance that you need fewer calories than when you were younger to maintain your weight, especially if you've become less active. And I know most of us become less active as we age, unless we're really trying not to be. So we're not chasing kids around and doing all the activities that we did when we were younger. On the other hand, you may need the same or more of certain nutrients that are important to aging. So this means you really have to focus, and there's less room for empty calories. Focusing on the eating a variety of nutrient-rich foods every day to meet our nutrition needs is really going to be something to really be concerned with. I know for myself, speaking to myself because I'm in this older half of my life here, we want to really focus on, I know for myself that I eat less than I used to eat. I'm not as hungry as I used to eat. My appetite isn't as what it used to be. So since I'm eating less, I really have to hone in on those nutrient-rich fruits and vegetables and the plants. And I can still have, my desserts and that sort of thing, but less often and maybe a smaller portion. So these nutrients have special concern as we age. Calcium and vitamin D is at the top here. Older adults do need slightly more calcium and slightly more vitamin D than we did when we were younger, and that's because of our bones. Our bones get less dense as we age, or at least they can get less dense as we age, and that's both men and women. It's not just a women problem. So we really want to eat foods that have calcium and vitamin D, and of course that comes from milk or dairy foods. Now, if you don't do milk for whatever reason, allergic, intolerant, that sort of thing, calcium-rich foods include leafy greens, fortified cereals, canned fish. They also all have calcium. And then for vitamin D, also come from fatty fish, eggs, and there are quite a few foods that are fortified with vitamin D. So your healthcare provider might want you to take a supplement. I take a supplement of calcium and vitamin D at my doctor's advice. You want to take them together. If it's not a combination pill, then you want to take the pills at the same time because vitamin D helps the absorption of calcium. Okay. Now, vitamin B12 is next. That's keeping our blood and nerves healthy. You get vitamin B12 mostly from animals, so meat, fish, seafood. It's also in fortified foods. Now, when we get older, our digestive system is not as good at absorbing vitamin B12 as it was because our stomachs are less acidic. So we are at risk of becoming deficient. And that can cause muscle weakness, numbness, fatigue, and even some vision problems. So because of this issue of not absorbing it as well, we are at risk for becoming deficient. So this is something to check with your healthcare provider. Now, you'll notice that yellow note up there on the top right. That's a disclaimer here. You always want to check with your healthcare provider before taking supplements, as they may be contraindicated and or interfere with some medication. So I don't want you to listen to my presentation today and then run out and buy supplements. Please check with your health provider first. So next up is dietary fiber. Fiber is essential because it aids digestion, supports our heart, it can reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. And as we age, maintaining a healthy digestive tract becomes even more important. So let's make fiber a priority by eating more plants, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, legumes, that sort of thing. Potassium, the next on the list here. Potassium, as we age, our blood pressure often increases, and that's because our blood vessels stiffen as we get older. Another one of those fun things of aging. And potassium helps counteract that. So foods that are high in potassium are plants, fruits and vegetables, veggie, beans, low-fat dairy is also a good source of potassium. While you're increasing potassium, you want to decrease sodium. And that's important for everyone, not just us that are getting older, because it really also helps lower that risk of heart disease. It's really important to limit your highly processed foods, and restaurant foods are usually higher in sodium. And try when you're at home to use herbs and spices to flavor your foods instead of salt. Magnesium is next on the list. It's really important for many bodily functions. That magnesium is doing a lot in our bodies. It helps make energy from the food we eat. It helps keep our muscles contracting and our nerves pulsing. And research tells us that people over 70 often aren't getting enough magnesium. And that's because we're not eating the foods that are rich in magnesium. So it's really important that you eat those foods, and that's whole grains, black and pinto beans, pumpkin seeds, nuts, almonds, cashews, peanuts, and their butters, and greens, leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard are all good sources of magnesium. And then finally, we want to know our fats. You want to focus on our healthy fats. These are the ones that are high in polyunsaturated and monosaturated fats. Those are what we call the liquid oils that I mentioned before: avocado, olive, sunflower, safflower, all of those oils that are high in these poly and monounsaturated. Those are heart healthy. They're good for our hearts. And we want to decrease or limit those that are high in saturated fats. And those foods come from animals. Butter, marbling in beef, bacon, salami, sausages, those sort of things. It's not that we shouldn't eat bacon ever, but just maybe not have it every day. Okay. And it's important here to note that that a balanced diet that's varied and includes all the food groups we mentioned is really going to ensure adequate intake of all of these nutrients of concern. So coming up as we're going to talk about some practical strategies to make that happen. But first, I wanted to take a quick look at the nutrition facts panel. This may not be new to all of you, but maybe to some of you. This is a great tool. It can be used to help you make informed choices about the foods you're eating, but it also is great to use to compare products. But when we're looking at this nutrition facts panel, we want to start with the serving size. That's the most important thing on here because all the numbers underneath it refer to that serving size. And the blue is calories. If you're in a weight management program of some sort, you might want to watch the calories. The orange section is where all the nutrients are. And the nutrients, look, you have nutrients of concern for yourself, so you might want to pay attention to which ones are relevant to you. But you also want to look out for foods that are low in saturated fat and low in sodium, and then go for foods that are higher in fiber and the vitamins and the minerals. Note, though, that the vitamin B12 and magnesium are not on this nutrition facts panel, so it's hard to tell how much is in the foods. That's why it's really super important to eat those sources of magnesium and vitamin B12, like we said, the whole grains, the nuts, the seeds. And then the B12, of course, is found in animal proteins and fortified foods. And then finally, you want to look at this dark purple here. That's the percent daily value. That number compares the amount of nutrient in one serving to the recommended daily intake. So it helps you to see really if something is high or low. And we have a little cheat sheet here on the purple underneath the 4 there. 20% or more means that it's high in that nutrient, and 5% or less means it's low. So for instance, we want to keep the saturated fat low. So, we look for that number. Is it 5% or less? Okay, now to the fun part, how to build a healthy meal. Let's switch gears now. Here's a basic framework I made up here to put meals together with actual products. You'll notice that the fruits and vegetables are on the first column, not the protein. I know that most of us, if not all of us, were probably raised to plan your meal around the protein. It's a great idea to flip that script and actually plan your meal around the fruits and vegetables because they make up half of your plate. Remember when I showed you this? If you're going to eat mostly fruits and vegetables, let's start there. And then we can add a quarter plate of grain and a quarter plate of protein, of course, rounding it out with dairy. So I'm going to go through through these columns one by one, and we're going to fill them in with some products. Let's start with fruits and vegetables. So you want to fill half your plate, like we said a lot now. That's where you're going to get lots of those nutrients of concern, your fiber, potassium, magnesium, plus all the other nutrients you need that's really essential for health. And you can enjoy them fresh, frozen, canned. It doesn't matter. But we have so many easy and convenient solutions all over the store. If we start in the produce department, every kind of fruit and vegetable you can imagine. I really like these fresh cut. They're cleaned and cut, so you just have to open the bag and cook them how you prefer. The bag salads are quite nice. These are full of cruciferous vegetables. I like to add leafy greens to them. And also, after it's getting a little past its prime, I will cook these in a stir fry. So they're great to cook with as well. And restaurant foods, we have seasoned and cooked vegetables that just need to go into the microwave. Those are the top middle there. And then the bottom middle, that's frozen frozen packages of fruits and vegetables. I eat almost exclusively frozen vegetables, except for in the summer when they're just real local. But I really love the convenience. They're already cut up. There's a lot of colors in in the bags. And if you haven't been down the frozen aisle lately, please go check it out. We have so many varieties of frozen foods. It's amazing. In the grocery aisle, we've got canned vegetables, and you might be thinking, but geez, Smarta, those have salt in them. And you would not be wrong. They do. So you could go for the unsalted kind, or you could go and take just the regular kind and dump it into a colander and rinse it under water, shake it around in the colander for a minute or two. That's going to get rid of some of the salt. It's not going to get rid of it all because the vegetables absorb some of that salt, but it will get rid of some. And as far as fruit goes, we don't want to forget that. Of course, we have fruit and produce. We have it in the frozen aisle with all kinds of varieties again. I like these fruit cups in the grocery because they're already portioned and just real easy and convenient to take with you to lunch and on picnics and that sort of thing. Let's not forget about dried fruit. Look for the unsweetened versions. They're making a nice after dinner treat, I think. And of course, in the produce aisle, we have all kinds of fruits. I like these berry mixes. They're so pretty and inviting, and they go great in many foods. Now, moving on to the protein, you want to fill a quarter of your plate with protein, and this is where you're going to get your vitamin B12, some magnesium, and when it's fish, you're going to get some of those healthy omega-3 fats as well. So starting with our gold pan meals, these are all delicious. All you have to do is take the plastic off and stick them in the oven, and you have a fine entree coming out of your oven pretty quick. We've got these salmon patties. These are some of my favorites. They're so convenient. They grill up nicely. You can put them on a bun. I usually do a bun in the night, and the next day I'll take one and put it on top of my salad. Makes a nice salad topping. These cook in bags are really convenient. They don't make a mess, which is super nice. There's not so much time cleaning up in the kitchen. You can put them in a crock pot or in a pot in your oven, and first take off all the labels, then do that. And then you can take them out of that and you can just put your pan away because it's still clean. If you like cooking from scratch, then we have all kinds of solutions. Marinated meats, not marinated meats. We have frozen fish in a lot of kinds. These are nicer in one portion fillets, so you only have to take out as many as you need. In restaurant foods, we have rotisserie chicken, roasted chicken, grilled chicken. There's hundreds of things you can do with these chickens. Really nice to have those on hand. And over in the grocery aisle, we have canned tuna and pouched tuna and salmon. Also canned salmon. These are nice for salad toppers to make, add some mayonnaise or Greek yogurt, make a little salad to have on a sandwich. And then also we've got canned beans for our plant proteins here on the bottom right corner. Those are any kind of bean, black pinto, kidney, all of them. And then lentils, of course, are nice to put on salads or put in soups and that sort of things as well. And then over in the dairy department, we've got tofu, which is a nice plant protein that gives you, these plant proteins are not only giving you the protein, but they're also giving you magnesium and potassium and the star fiber. And then finally, on the last quarter of your plate, we want to talk about grains. We would like half of the grains that you eat to be whole grains, and you should get 3 whole grain servings each day. Starting in the grocery aisle, we have the steamable brown rice. It's really easy, 90 seconds in the microwave. I tried this instant brown rice for the first time last week. It was really easy and very good. We have multigrain wraps, whole wheat wraps. We have whole wheat pasta, breads, of course, pitas and naans. We even have whole wheat pizza dough. So if you get the hankering to make a pizza, you can make it easy on yourself and get one of these balls of dough. For breakfast, there's, of course, oatmeal. We have multigrain waffles. Shredded wheat is made with whole wheat, obviously. In the frozen section, we also have the same steamable brown rice from grocery in the frozen. We've got the multigrain rolls that I love these rolls. They taste delicious, and they're really easy just to pull out 1 or 2 as you need it. And these fun grain blends, we have a few varieties of these. You get the added bonus of a little bit of vegetables in with the grains. Now, you may be wondering, how do I know it's whole grain? That would be a great question. And it's really easy with Wegmans brand products because we have this whole grain key. And there's two keys here. The one with the black one is one key, and the one on the far right is another one. And you're going to find either one of those on our packages. And it's usually on the bottom right or left of the packaging. Sometimes it's on the back or the side, especially with cereals, because there's always a lot going on the front pack of cereal. So you might find it on the front or the back. But always look for these keys because they will let you know how many whole grain servings are there. And let's not forget about dairy. Aim for at least 3 servings of dairy every day, like I mentioned, cottage cheese, yogurt. This less sugar yogurt is my favorite. Try that if you haven't yet. It's vested really for if you don't want to have added sugars to do the plain, but I like a little bit of mine to be a little bit sweet, and these less sugars are great. Dairy, like for milk, cheese, soy milk is the most equally equivalent nutrition-wise to cow's milk. So that's a good option if you don't tolerate dairy. And then, of course, ice cream. You might be surprised to see on there, but that counts as a dairy group, so you could have that once in a while. And then we want to add a burst of flavor to our meals. Sauces and seasonings are a fantastic way to do that, to explore these global cuisines without leaving your home. I really love experimenting with exotic flavors. Some do have more salt than others, so it's important to look at the nutrition facts panel to see which of the sauces are going to meet your health goals. And I actually have a meal prep strategy for you. This is something that I do quite often, especially when I know I'm going to be working late a lot and that sort of thing. But cook up a batch of brown rice or quinoa or whichever whole grain you like. Do a combo. I often do brown rice and quinoa together. Add a variety if you could do fresh or frozen or canned vegetables to that. I often put frozen vegetables in there because I love frozen. But then you can store this in this mixture, this base here in the fridge. And then each day pair it with a different protein and a different sauce. And it can make you feel like you're taking a trip to an exotic place for dinner. I love doing that. And for extra freshness, you can prepare maybe a fresh salad or, whip up some other vegetables if you'd like to go with it. So let's go through these sauces here. On the far left up there, you'll see the Asian sauces we have. The sesame garlic, the Szechuan's a little bit spicier. Thai peanut is my favorite. The ones in the middle there are Indian inspired, tiki masala, butter chicken, and the Thai red curry. And then the bottom left, those are our dry seasoning shakers. We have so many of those. Everything bagel, I think, is our newest one. They're all delicious, but some do have more salt than others. So again, turn over the label and check that out. And let's not forget about the heart healthy liquid oils. Our basting oil, of course, is our signature product with the herbs and garlic in it. It's quite yummy. And of course, avocado and olive oil. And you can add it before you cook, while you're cooking, after you're cooking. It doesn't much matter. Just good to get some of those healthy oils every day. So let's put these meals together back on the template. Vegetables and fruit, of course, we can put here, proteins here, grains here. You can mix and match these. Remember to incorporate some healthy oils, stay hydrated, and get your 3 servings of dairy every day. So to wrap it up here, we really want to nourish our body by prioritizing a diverse range of whole foods. We want to build balanced meals featuring plenty of veggies, fruits, proteins, whole grains, healthy fats, and dairy foods. We want to ensure our diet is rich in fiber for optimal digestion and overall health. And please check out wegmans.com/feelyourbest for more info on a variety of nutrition topics. We have so much information on there now. We on the nutrition team are just loving how much stuff is there now. And we have a brand spanking new page on healthy aging. It just got loaded up a week or so ago. So definitely check that out. And Trish is going to put those links into the chat. So here we are at the Q&A. I'm going to come off, end my slides here. Trish is going to come back. When you end the survey, when you end this webinar, you're going to be immediately taken to a survey. We would really appreciate it if you could fill that out. It really helps us make future presentations for you. Okay, let's stop sharing and come on back.
Awesome
Hi, Trish.
job, Marta.
Thank you.
We see some emojis, some claps, some thumbs up, and somebody definitely gave a thumbs up. I love that idea of having that prep in your fridge and feel like you're taking a trip around the world with different flavors. So
Yes, I love it.
Thank you so much. And as Marta said, I did drop those links into the chat for those of you who are with us live. If you happen to be watching this on demand, please also take a look at the description. There's a link that you can take the survey too, because we would love to hear your thoughts as well. And actually, there were a lot of questions that came in, Marta. So let me pull up the first one. I know you talked a lot about protein, but one of the questions that came in from a few folks, how much protein do we need as we age?
Great question. And I figured I was going to get questions about this because I didn't really cover it in the presentation. So thanks to whoever's asking that, because it's a great one. The research is really mixed and evolving on this topic. And I can imagine you've heard on the news that it's really important. We need more protein as we age. However, the dietary guidelines for Americans, which is the guidelines we follow and our recommendations, they recommend the same amount for those of us over 60 as for those of us that are younger. So what you're hearing on social media isn't really necessarily true. But that amount is 5 to 6.5 ounces of protein per day. So the issue is more, we don't really need more protein than we did when we were younger. The issue is that we're not really getting that 5 to 6.5 ounces a day because of that issue I talked about earlier, where our appetites are less, so we're eating less. So it's really hard to get that much protein in a day. So to combat this, I think a really good strategy is to eat 20 to 30 grams of protein in each meal. And you can find the protein on the nutrition facts panel. It's about 2/3 of the way down underneath the carbohydrate section. You'll find protein and how many grams. So pay attention to that. Try to get 20, 30. Breakfast is typically the hardest one to get that much protein. So concentrate on maybe eating like a Greek yogurt, it has more protein in it. And you might even need to do protein powder. I know some that do that and they find that quite helpful. Remember where protein's coming from. It's coming from fish, which we really aim to eat that twice a week if we're tolerating that and not allergic. That's really good for your heart health. Poultry, lean meats, really, we try to do red meats no more than a couple times a week. And actually, some research suggests that consuming more plant proteins than animal proteins, that might be beneficial as we age. And this is thought to be because animal protein has more saturated fat in it, and it doesn't have fiber. And fiber is so important. We're just learning more and more and more about how important fiber is. So I really suggest plant proteins in at least one of your meals each day, if not more. And remember, plant protein is in beans, nuts, seeds, legumes, soy foods, tofu, tempeh, seitan, that sort of thing. And so, yeah, one meal a day. If you're not doing any plant proteins in any of your meals right now, maybe just start with one a week. If you can get that, get you and your family to maybe eat just one meal a week and then build from there.
Great suggestions, Marta. And thank you for also talking a little bit about the difference between the nutrients with animal and plant proteins. And one thing you brought up was about fiber. And a couple folks asked, how much fiber should we be eating?
Yeah, about 25 to 35 grams is the recommended amount of fiber. And that also could be found on the nutrition facts panel. It's underneath the carbohydrate section. Or it's in the carbohydrate section, I should say. You'll find the grams of fiber.
Great. And you gave some great suggestions for meals. I think we have time to just sneak this in. What about if I'm preparing meals for more than just myself? Maybe it's a mixed household of different ages.
Yeah, that's a great question. So if the meals you're preparing are nutritious and balanced, like I showed you on the template, if you're focusing on half plate fruits and vegetables, that's really everything that all of your family needs. The only thing is that when we get a little bit older, we need probably less calories, especially compared to teenagers, because teenagers can eat. I had 2 of them, and they eat a lot. So yeah, it's really, you can all eat the same foods. Maybe you just watch the quantity a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marta. That was great. Thank you all for joining us today. We are out of time. Again, please, if you have a few minutes, fill out the survey, and we hope that these tips will help you to feel your best. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.